G'day folks, Tim Armstrong, Think Fishing. Thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to talk about how you can save a heap of money and catch more fish at the same time. This is a double clutch, a Daiwa double clutch jerkbait. It's one of my favourite lures, or it used to be. They catch a ton of fish, even really timid, easily spooked fish like brown trout and crystal clear water. The trouble is, if you cast one of these into a tree or into overhanging vegetation, those exposed hooks are almost guaranteed to ensure that you're going to lose it. And at 30 bucks a piece, it's not really good. Even if you use it in moderately weedy flats where there's submerged vegetation, or the very least is it's going to come, that lure is going to come back absolutely covered in weed, and you're going to spend more time unhooking weed as opposed to unhooking fish. Not ideal. So any hard-bodied lure with exposed treble hooks like that, or even soft plastics with exposed hooks, you're going to have the same problem. Now, the issue with that, of course, is that fish tend to live in amongst submergent vegetation. That's where they find insects and minnows and generally their food. They also use the shade of overhanging trees for a couple of reasons. One, to use that shade to hide from predators, and secondly because it enables them to stay out of the sunlight and to ambush prey. So many fishermen struggle to catch fish because they avoid casting to those places. They avoid casting underneath trees because they don't want to get hung up and whatever, and they avoid heavy vegetation because they don't want to spend all that time casting out, winding back and removing weed from their hooks. So what is the answer? Well, actually it's simpler than you might think. This is what's known as a fluke or a minnow, and it is on an extra wide gap hook, and in this case it's one that's got a weight in the belly of the hook right under here. Now typically what we do, we have the hook there, bury the point, so if it does get into vegetation, into a tree or whatever, you're not going to lose it, it's not going to snag up. But when a fish bites, it pushes down and the hook's exposed. They're not difficult to use at all. In fact, all you really need to know is how to rig it up, which is very easy to do. Now there's literally dozens of different rigging methods that work extremely well, and all of them catch fish. So today I'm going to show you two scenarios. Catching fish by casting lures into trees without getting snagged up, letting them fall into the water below where the fish are going to be and where no one with a hard-bodied lure can possibly get to. And secondly, fishing straight through thick submergent weed where no lure with an exposed hook is going to go through without coming back covered in salad.
Okay, so let's try and get hooked up in that leafy green tree over there overhanging the bank. That's it, I'm caught up. I'm stuck in the tree, but as I just pull that line gently, there we go, it'll fall in. Falls in nice and gently and lands exactly where I wanted it without getting hung up, and that's how you get a lure right underneath the tree. Right, let's see how well it goes through this weed on the bank, or next to the bank. There we go. Piece of cake. Just goes straight through it. Sinks down when I let it go slack. Comes straight up when I tighten the line. If there was a redfin down there, I'd have it. Okay, so I'm fishing essentially what's a flat area. It's a very, very gradual, that was one, gradual slope out to about 6 foot deep. It's really muddy, but more than that, it's really weedy too. So you certainly can't use a lure that's got a treble hook or even exposed hook. So what I'm using is this guy right here. So it's a soft plastic, what's known as a fluke or a minnow. It's got a belly weighted hook. There's the weight right there. And the hook is buried into the back of the lure, just sticking out. So it's enough that when a fish grabs it and pushes down, it's going to get hooked, but it's least likely to pick up weed. So I'm letting that sink to the bottom, holding my rod tip up high, so I'm keeping as much line off the surface of the water as possible, and that's so that I can detect bites easier, because there's no slack line, or as little as possible. Giving it a quick wind, let the lure sink down to the bottom again, or swim down to the bottom is the case of this lure. That's what they do. They have their own action when you let the line go looser, or you let them drift down to the bottom. And up we come again. So to make the longest possible cast, I've got probably 2.5 feet of line from the rod tip down to the lure. And typically if you go down to, between 2 feet and 3 feet, that's how you maximize your casting. Whereas if you use a very short leader or distance from your lure to your rod tip, it'll give you more accuracy, but it won't give you the same distance. So I don't need accuracy here, I need distance. So let's do this. That's a small one, but it's a fish. It's a tiny one. Hooked nicely in the roof of the mouth. There you go. That hook wasn't coming out. Okay, well that's a better fish. Not huge, but it's still a much better fish. And what I'm finding is they're taking it off the bottom, like literally give it lure a quick wind, and it brings it 2 or 3 feet up above the bottom, let it drift down to the bottom, and these things swim down, they don't just fall, and let it sit on the bottom for a few seconds, and they'll pick it up off the bottom while it's dead sticking. There you go. Off you go, mate. Right, let's get another one. And I'm only doing like half a wind at a time, just to slowly move it a short distance. And as you can see, I'm sticking my finger out, which is catching the line, and that is making that lure shoot up like a wounded bait fish. Gives it a fair bit of action. Oh, missed it.
So I hope you enjoyed that. Please like, comment and subscribe, but more importantly, get out on the water and give this a go. You won't be disappointed.